Welcome to Season 2 of Path of the Brush. Let's sling some paint. Whoa, we are here. Hey, everybody. This is Rick. I am your host here at Path of the Brush on Gen Con TV. And pretty excited. We have a special guest today. Our special guest is Jeff Campbell-Crawley from the Michigan GT.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. You are right here in the studio with us. I can see you, the back of your head from where I'm sitting.
Yep.
And I see there's a lot of miniatures behind you, which is just typical of our studio.
Yes. Neat and tidy in here.
Very cool. Well, welcome. Hello, Haley, Jason, and how is it going with you? We are painting some pretty fun stuff today. So Jeff runs the Michigan GT, as I mentioned. And at the Michigan GT, one of the events that they have is a game called CONQUEST. And Will, who's one of our back-end producers here, he is a vanguard for that game for the company, meaning that he goes to stores and does demos and helps run some events and such. And so he knows all about the game. Jeff has played. How many games have you played, Jeff?
Oh, quite a few. I'm in the dozens at this point.
Dang it. I'm so far behind.
Yes, you are.
And so at the Michigan GT is kind of where you can play all these different games. And CONQUEST was how Will got into it, was at the GT, right, Will?
Yep.
And he won a core set and some other stuff for the game, and now he's a vanguard. But Jeff, tell us about the Michigan GT. How long has it been going on? What people can expect there? All the good things.
Sure. Yeah, so we just wrapped up our 10th year. We started this back in 2013. We started it just as strictly a 40K tournament, and we had 50 people our first year. Last year, we had about 700 people participate in the GT. So as you can see, we've grown a little bit over 10 years. Looking to do it again next year. Hopefully it'll be our biggest year yet.
Now, when you say participate, you mean people who are actively participating in a tournament event.
Yeah, that's right. So, or we do have some events that are not tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
We, being called the Michigan Grand Tournament, we do focus on competitive play, but that is not all we do. We do have some other games that are more fun themed or thematic.
Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that that's all the people that walk through the doors and checked out the event, right? There's usually a couple hundred others that walk through, see, because you have vendors that show up and everything.
Yeah. And with everything, spectators, players, we probably get close to about 1,000 people walking through.
Nice. Yeah, those are pretty decent numbers for an event around tabletop wargaming here in the Michigan area. So
right, and for little old Lansing, it's not too bad.
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing CONQUEST, and I'm working on some Wadroon hunting pack.
Oh.
The little velociraptors, but it's weird is as you look at them, they're not just velociraptors. There's multiple different breeds of dinosaurs kind of represented here, right? But I'm working on this particular group. The box set for this comes with 3 different units of, I think it's 5 or 6 per.
Right. I've done that kit already. You're, like you said, you're behind. And so there are 6 different sculpts in that kit times 3. So there's 18 total, 6 of each.
Okay. Yeah, they're pretty wild. I like, so the one I'm doing, I guess they're all the same then. That makes me upset. I was hoping there's 18 different sculpts here. Dang it.
Picky.
No, I'm kidding. When I'm looking at it, because the paint schemes are all different and they're positioned differently, you're looking at them at different angles. Now that I look at it, I can go, yep, there's the the duck-billed one.
Yes. Yep. You should have 3 of each. Yep. I kind of found that convenient because they all go together the same exact way. So instead of having 18 builds, you only got 6 builds.
Right. And that's
And
what I did this afternoon at the store.
ah,
Is I built these little bad boys, and yeah, I think they look great.
yeah, they're cool little models. They did a good job on the kit.
Cool. Um, hey, awesome trades, Nancy. That's an interesting name. Hnoss of Trades. HNOSS of Trades. That's awesome. All right. Well, let's get to it. I don't think mine's gonna be as vibrant as these ones, and I know they won't be as vibrant as yours because these look airbrushed.
Are we not going to talk about my miniature?
I guess we could.
Oh, okay. So
You guys are going to notice that Jeff and I have a particular banter. We hang out almost every day.
yeah, we do hang out quite a bit. All right, so I am also painting a miniature from Conquest. This is from the City States line. He is called Eidolon. Let me get him up here close for you guys to see. So he's like a 4-armed steampunk kind of guy. So he's got some mechanical elements to him, a lot of robotic calves and arms and that kind of thing. Kind of a cool mast helmet. As you can see here too, that I've already started him. So I do a lot of my base coats and stuff with my airbrush. So I knocked him out last night.
Nice.
I primed him. I did some zenithal highlighting from the top, which is why you can see that he's like kind of white from the top, but black from the bottom. If I can turn this thing right, there we go.
Yep.
Sorry, my camera's not where I think it is. And then I shot the whole thing with my dark green base, and then I worked up and did some highlights on the cloak as well, which aren't really showing up very well on camera, but they are there, trust me. So yeah, what I'll try to do is I'll try to pick a large color on my model and do that with airbrushing before I actually attack it with what I call the analog brush, which is one of these. And now I'll start picking out details by hand. And now that I've done what I can do with the airbrush. Now, I could have been a little more aggressive with the airbrush, but I wanted some content for the show.
And we appreciate that. Because so Jeff did the airbrush on the Galactus, Undead Galactus for us. And we're really looking forward to seeing what he does next at that size.
Yeah, right. That'll never happen again. You heard it here first.
That's right. And then I think Will and Mark, who are the back-end producers, Mark, as we all know, Mr. Radio Voice, Deep Radio Voice, and Will are also painting some Conquest tonight, right?
That's a Parabellum theme, guys.
Yeah, killing it.
I got some trolls coming in.
Nice.
So these
excellent.
Yeah. So we'll see how many of these I can whip through.
All right, so I'm going to be putting the base on this one here that has like the feathers on his back.
That's stinking phone.
With some algae green speed paint. That works. Your phone falling all over?
Well, no, I was trying to get it to change with the direction, and it keeps flipping on me. So we're sticking with this, guys. Sorry.
No worries.
All right. Spectacles are coming on, so I can actually see what I'm doing.
I'm putting the finishing touches on some of those marksman clones.
Oh, very cool.
Yep.
Those guys were jerks.
Yes, and there are more coming.
Jerks as in the stomp on the ground when you put them on the table?
Yeah, Will was cheating when we played the other week.
I mean, that makes sense. He is the Vanguard.
Yeah,
he knows all the rules. Doesn't share them.
He gave my opponent all the dice that roll 5s and 6s. He kept all the ones that roll 1s and 2s for himself. It was a really low blow.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So my color theme, so the city-states are kind of a Spartan-esque theme based on kind of ancient Greeks. A lot of their standard warriors are, well, they're called like hoplites and thoracites and things like that. And they got the cool Greek plumes and all this stuff. And being our local university here is the Michigan State Spartans.
Yeah.
I have chosen to go with a green and white theme for my army. So primarily green with some white accents.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do for this model, because he doesn't have a lot of clothes, he's mostly just armor and robotic arms and a little bit of skin along with his big green cloak. So I'm going to pick out the center of my armor plates to be the white on this guy. So I'm going to start with that.
Very cool. And I'm just going to go with putting on some of these fun speed paints and going with a green. I'm going to hit, I think 3 of them are going to be kind of base green and then do some different colors for their plumage because a lot of them do have feathers.
Yes, they do. So who makes those speed paints, Rick?
I'll get to that. I have this all set up in a very organized situation over here.
Oh, well, is he?
This isn't like our podcast. So for those of you
I
that
was just lobbing a softball for you.
For those of you that don't know, Jeff and I also have a podcast. It was formerly called the Michigan GT Podcast, and now it is called Citizen Gamer Podcast.
Yes.
And,
first episode releasing next week, by the way, of the rebrand.
Nice. Very exciting. But no, the Army Painter is the manufacturer of the speed paints that we use here on our show. And they are very awesome. Not just the paints, but also the people. And I'm really excited for the beginning of next year when we get to talk about their new brand that they're coming out with later next year. It's all over the internet already. You can see.
Yeah, it's not like a big secret or anything, right?
Right. Yeah. But the speed paints are in their 2.0 version, and that's what we primarily use.
We meaning you.
We meaning me. That's correct. And these are pretty awesome. So our buddy here, Hanas of Trades, says that I'm from Charlotte, Michigan, originally.
Oh, right on. Oh, originally. Okay.
We have video of everyone. Hello, everyone. Is everyone painting from Michigan, or do we have a spread? We're all here in the studio in Lansing. Like Mark, Wave Mark, is sitting directly across from me, and it's at my 11 o'clock, or about 11 o'clock is Will, and then at my 11:50 or my 10 o'clock is where Jeff is in the studio. We're all here, local yokels. And we have a lot of fun together. We're all gamers, obviously. Everybody here is amazing painters on the other side of the camera. Everybody's behind me. I'm just a good talker, I guess. That says a lot of like and as I do.
Yeah, Rick claims he paints for 3 feet away, and I always tell him it's more like 6.
Yeah. I have bad eyes.
I love this, the roast of Rick. We've been waiting 2 seasons to do this.
No, this is the danger of inviting me on the show. Is like,
right.
You got to talk crap, or why bother talking?
The subtitle of this episode is "Shots Fired."
Oh, are there any creatures in the Conquest system that uses guns of any sort?
Yeah, there are some guns. The Dwagum have a really large creature that has some giant guns on its back that is pretty intimidating looking. Will, do you know of any other large beasts that can shoot?
Larger ones that can shoot, not that I can think of off the top of my head.
I think the sea Jotnar has a ranged attack for the Nords.
Yeah, he does. And
he kind of like volleys things over, right? Not like a firearm though, like the troll fellows. But yeah, he definitely can sling some stuff.
Okay.
The city states do have something coming down the pipes, which actually sent me down a mythology rabbit hole. That was kind of fun.
Oh, really? What was that?
Phlogiston launchers. Phlogiston was the element that the Greeks used to think was what fire was made out of.
Oh, the Greek fire?
Yeah, so phlogiston is like, there was an amount of phlogiston in every element. Like trees had more phlogiston because it was more flammable. and water had none. So that was their early theory for where fire came from. And so it's like elemental fire, and they're gonna have chariots that launch phlogiston coming out.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and that guy that you're working on, he has phlogiston for blood, which is kind of awesome.
Okay.
Rick, you prefer flatulence, is that correct?
Yes. I prefer flatulence. Also flammable.
Yeah, also flammable.
Yeah.
Different methane, I believe, is the gas.
Ross says that it's super cool. I'm from Charlotte, Michigan, and now I'm out by Western Michigan.
Oh, okay. So he's down in the Kalamazoo area then.
Yeah.
And,
Three
and
Rivers.
for those,
Three Rivers?
Oh, you know this individual?
No, I just know the area.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
and
He's
for
like,
those
it's
of you-
Portage, all right? It's not Two Rivers.
Yeah.
Oh,
For those of
man.
you not in Michigan, Kalamazoo is really a place.
It is. The zoo. All right. So my arm just popped off. I have to re-glue it. Dagnabbit. I got a little too aggressive.
Kalamazoo has an awesome airplane museum. The Kalamazoo Air Zoo is really cool. They have the SR-71 Blackbird there.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Iconic jet of our youth.
Yeah. So I'm over here painting these dinosaurs, and I've always said that I think it's unfortunate that as we grow up and become adults, we don't ask each other. And I think I may have said this previously on an episode about what's our favorite dinosaur, right? So Jeff, what's your favorite dinosaur?
I'm gonna go Stegodon.
Stegodon, and is that kind of like a Triceratops?
No, it's the guy with the like the armored plated spine with the spiky tail.
Oh, okay. Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mine too. Great.
My
My
other
other
one
one
is
is the
the
Ankylosaurus, which is got
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah.
the turtle shell with the little spikes on the
Uh-huh.
side, and then it has
Yeah,
the
yeah.
knobby ball on
He
the
is very
Yeah.
cool.
The giant armadillo.
Yeah.
I would have to go with super generic, the old T-Rex. He's terrible at push-ups.
Fair enough.
But I had a cool, when I was like 6, I had this cool thing you push on his. They make it again now, but you push on his back and he chomps.
Oh,
I had
nice.
a whole play set when I was like 6. I loved the whole thing.
So I heard an interesting factoid the other day about dinosaurs and some of the ones that we talked about. So they were saying that the Tyrannosaurus Rex is further away from the Stegosaurus than we are from the Tyrannosaurus Rex
What?
in history.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's very wild. So
Was
that's
it
just
Neil?
goes to,
Was it Neil deGrasse Tyson that said this?
ha, ha.
No,
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 it wasn't.
I
It
do love
wasn't,
that
but-
guy. He's everywhere, right?
Oh, he's great. How can you not like Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I do like him.
I just don't trust him. Yeah, he knows too much. Ross says he really likes the Microraptor. The Air Zoo is amazing. I agree, Will. Nice. I've only been to the zoo a couple times in my entire life. I've lived here in Michigan again now for the last 2 years. And I was gone for 30. And in my time before that, before I left, I was, a high school kid. And
Well, yeah, you couldn't afford to go to the zoo.
right, I couldn't afford to go anywhere.
That's right.
I mean, I did have a summer job in high school. I worked for Public Works,
Yeah, but all that money went to D&D.
D&D and comic books. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Priorities,
Yeah.
Was that when you were summer dreaming and when you meet Sandy at the beach or something?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Summer Lovin'.
Summer loving. See, you know.
Yeah. That's a great song. Anybody out there that wants to karaoke that with me at an upcoming convention like PAX Unplugged, let me know. But I'll be there in 2.5 weeks.
Oh, are you getting excited?
No, nervous.
Nervous?
Yeah,
You're attending.
I'm attending as a guest. Yes, I'm teaching classes on how to paint miniatures for 3 feet away.
Wow.
Um,
Your rate must be pretty dang low because
It is. It is what they pay all the instructors.
okay.
but the it's making your miniatures tabletop ready. That's really what it is.
Okay.
Right. That is my.
I think you could just name it "Making Your Miniatures Passable."
Sure.
This isn't getting Jeff closer to the PAX Unplugged table with you, is it?
No.
Jeff's been on too many trips this year anyway, so
honestly, I think Jeff probably wouldn't enjoy PAX Unplugged.
Oh, really?
Nope. Not like you would like. Not it's nothing like Adepticon, and
Okay.
it's nothing like Gen Con.
All right.
It is almost entirely board game and RPG
Okay.
centric, and yeah, there's not a lot of miniature love there.
I like role-playing games. I just don't have the time to play them.
Right. Yeah.
So we brought this up. Was it last week that we need to do a Stormcrest Chronicle with 3 people that we know plus the GM. We got 3 people here. I feel like it would be funny to do.
I'll do a Stormcrest Chronicles live stream.
Yeah.
We need one more.
Oh, you want to do full on 4?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got to be 4 players and the GM.
Okay.
Otherwise, it is a lot more difficult to survive my encounters.
You got to have every single Ninja Turtle for the archetypes. You can't do anything without them.
That's right. And 3, I don't feel like you're going to get enough diversity and capability. You know what I mean? Like if you show up as a bard, and Will shows up as a bard, and Jeff shows up as a bard.
Oh,
and
now we're talking.
Oh, yeah.
That is
2
a part.
2 bards and a rogue. Someone can pick locks, and the rest of the people are singing about it, right? So,
Yeah.
Are we gonna have a freestyle rap battle with bards?
You should always have a freestyle rap battle with bards.
I don't think you need an excuse.
Oh yeah, there's never a need for an excuse, especially considering you would all be sailors, and sailors like to sing their shanties, their shanty songs.
But if we're all sailors, would we be able to actually talk on stream? Because I think we'd.
Nas says, "Where are you teaching?" PAX Unplugged. It's a convention in Philadelphia on the first weekend of December, so 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of December. So just coming up real quick, and I'm teaching on Saturday at 3:45, Sunday at 11:40 or 11:15, and then 1:15 as well.
How long is the class, Rick?
A little over an hour, so like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
Right on.
Yeah. And I think Dave Taylor is going to be sitting in with me on.
Yeah, and there's the real value, folks. Now I want to attend.
I mean, Dave Taylor and I are rooming, getting an Airbnb together there. So
Yeah, cue summer love there, Mark.
that's right, summer loving.
that's how we get sued.
But for those of you that don't know, Dave Taylor is a professional painter in our industry. He is, he is an amazing talent in art and all things miniatures. He's one of the best kit bashers out there.
Fabricator, right?
Oh, far and away. The kit on the kit bash part, far and away. That's where he's what he's really known for.
Yeah.
Is conversions and on a large scale, right?
Yep.
One of the things I really love about Dave is he's a very good painter, but
Yes.
he is an army painter.
Yes.
And it's a very different skill set than an artistic painter.
Yep.
Yeah, he paints to churn out large numbers of miniatures that go well together.
Mhm.
And what you get from a lot of instructors is closer to like a fine art type class.
Yep.
Where you're trying to have all these flashy models and stuff, which is great, but it's very hard to churn out an entire army of flashy models. You're just never going to get it on the table. So one thing that Dave really does well and can really show people is how to put something out there that looks good, but it's also going to be efficient time wise.
Yes. He has a book called Armies, Legions, and Hordes.
Yes, he does. I
Um,
have it.
Yeah, it's a great book, and it kind of helps you get in the mindset of painting armies.
Yes,
legions,
because
or-
it is very much a different mindset.
and that's one of the cool things about Conquest is you can utilize that mindset for some of the units, right?
Right.
Granted, there's so many different scopes. As an example, one of the other units I need to be working on is the Chosen of Conquest, which is an orc unit, because the Wadroon, right, is a orcs who ride dinosaurs and stuff like that. So, but it has one, two. It looks like it has 6 different miniatures on this one too, or 4. Is it 4?
Yeah, you'll have 4 miniatures of 3 each.
Yeah.
For a total of 12 in the box.
Yeah, and so
And you'll have
this is your army, legion, or horde in my and how I would paint.
100%. 100%. Yeah, you'll have some extra add-on bits on there too that can, make things look a little different. Like, you'll get only 4 different poses, but you'll probably get 10 or 12 heads in there.
Yeah, and it's
Something
gonna
that'll make them differentiate, and then you'll have extra pieces for the unit leader, as well as a banner bearer in there as well. So
and the banner bearer looks like he's just really carrying a spear.
Yeah, he kind of is. The banner is what you make out of it, Rick. Come on.
Yeah, I like the idea that it's a spear, that it's not just a banner, but it's a usable weapon on the field of battle.
That's right. That's how we do, man.
That's how I feel this whole Wadroon unit is that's the life they live.
Yep, 100%.
We are the chosen of battle.
So I'm getting my white bits going on here. You can see I got the shin guards picked out as well as the shoulders picked out. So now what I'm going to do here, thanks, Mark. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start picking out the trim around the white area, and then that'll be in my Necro Gold, I think is the color I'm going to use here. So sorry, I didn't bring official The Army Painter paints for this, because while I like their paints, the couple of colors I'm working on tonight, I've already used different brands across the whole army, and so I needed to match.
Nope, totally makes sense. So Haas has some other questions here. Which Ninja Turtle do we feel we all fit in as? That's a great question. Will is Leonardo, right? Or Donatello? Which is the one that is the bow staff?
That'd be Donatello.
Donatello. Yeah.
I gravitate towards either.
Yeah. Nice. How about you, Mark? Who do you feel like you gravitate towards?
I don't know. I feel like I would want to be Leonardo, but I'd probably be Michelangelo.
Really? He's the nunchucks, right?
He's a nunchuck guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see you whipping nunchucks around, Mark.
And how about you there, Jeff?
Well, I mean, I have to be Raphael now, right? Because
no.
Oh, you're Raphael?
Because you're wearing a red shirt. That's
100% Raphael.
You like the size?
Well, he's big, right? He's the biggest of the 4
in the movies, in the new movies,
in the comics.
In the comic as well.
Mm-hmm. He's also the only one that survives when they all die.
Spoiler!
Spoiler alert!
This isn't a movie. This is part of the comic book story arc.
When wouldn't you be like Master Splinter?
No,
you like rat swarms.
I don't. No, I feel like I would be a Raphael because he is also known as Ronin. When he basically goes out to avenge the death of his brothers, and it gets real dark. So.
That is a really good graphic novel, and it was done by Eastman and Laird. Like they patched up their differences to put it together. It was amazing.
I didn't know they had differences.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Well, that happens. Yeah.
Well, I saw that they both signed off now for a re-release of the role-playing game with Palladium.
Yep.
Yeah, I just got a mailer yesterday from Palladium announcing that.
Nice. Yeah, that was a fun RPG back in the day.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I guess they've been out of print for a good while. So it's kind of a big deal that they're agreeing to do a reprint. And they're going to be doing them in hardback as well. which they were never offered originally.
Right. It was one of my favorite RPGs of like
Oh,
the
yeah.
88, 89 era.
Oh, heck yeah. We played the heck out of that when I was in 8th grade.
That one and what was the other one that I played a lot back then was Talislanta.
No, I never played that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
There's
did
a
quite a
lot
few Palladium games back in the day. We did Robotech, we did TMNT, and then eventually got into Rifts when that was released a couple years
Mhm.
later. Yeah, they had some really cool titles in the late 80s.
I think Conquest should have an RPG.
That would be very interesting.
Got enough miniatures.
Yeah, and we've seen other miniature companies do it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
GW has some, but it was kind of a effort by some licensed
Yeah, Cubicle 7 runs
people,
it.
right? It wasn't their designers necessarily.
Mhm. Still, they have final word on all of it,
Oh, right,
which is great
yeah, but I
because they
mean,
got
we've
to
seen like
maintain lore.
War Machine had the Iron Kingdoms role playing game that was actually
Mhm.
well received. In fact, that might even have come out before the miniature game.
Possibly. I know it's still in existence, and yeah, they're still trying to push it out. How about you, Will? You got any insight on that? You think Conquest is going to do an RPG?
Well, they just released the first batch of rules for a narrative campaign for your army, so you can grow up your units and level them up, get them.
Yeah,
get
love
them
that idea.
And it's a very good framework for them to
Okay.
work from. And I think it went well when they tried to do that before. This is obviously a graduation from the previous one.
Nice.
And they have put out feelers to the community about their interest in an RPG in the world of Aya, being the world of Conquest.
I would say yes. I have an interest. The what does Nas say here? Because I could only teach how to forget your models for a year and then pretend you know what to do. Yeah, Mikey is awesome. The last Ronin was amazing. Yeah, the last. And are any of you in the Gen Con Discord? I am. Yes. And he also said that he hopes that my classes are packed. I go, they usually are. I've been teaching at PAX Unplugged now. This will be my 4th year.
Dang.
Yeah. So, super exciting. Now, I know you guys had some classes at the Michigan GT this past October.
Yeah, we did. We had a couple of classes. It was basically like an intro and then a follow up. So the classes were designed that you can either take them solo or you could go back to back.
Nice.
Yeah, it's with one of our local painters here in the capital area, Mark Chanowski, who owns what's his? Is it Runeforged Gaming? I think it's what he calls his
I
little
don't know.
company. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
I know it has Forged in it.
Yeah, I think it's Runeforged.
Okay.
Mark's a good guy. He's taken a lot of lessons from very high level painters the last 4 or 5 years, and he's decided to kind of take a lot of what he's learned from other high level instructors and kind of roll with his own lessons based on what he's learned and developed through his journeys through miniature painting. So he's a quality painter for sure. He also likes the digital airbrush.
What?
Yeah.
How dare he?
How dare he be efficient?
Yeah, I know that has to be on my list of things to add to my toolbox.
Yes, your toolbox is only half full right now, Rick. You need to add that power tool is really what it is, right? I mean,
Yeah, pneumatic power tool.
yeah, for sure. All kidding aside, it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
And
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but since I've started using the airbrush, which is that stunk. which has been a while now.
Mhm.
I've really focused on getting better at it probably the last 5-6 years.
Okay.
But even just picking it up and using it to like just base coat your army
Hmm.
is such a huge step forward in efficiency. It's not even funny. Well worth the time and effort just to take that one single step and cut it in probably in half.
Right. I mean, I've seen some of this. I think my tack here is losing its ability to do its job. Just gonna do this.
And the first time I used an airbrush was to base coat a bunch of terrain, and it went from like, this will take me weeks with a brush to I'm done this afternoon. And
Right.
That was an eye opener.
Nice. I love watching people post all their minis in the mini channel of the Discord. Yes, there's some great ones in there. I need to be posting the completed miniatures because I don't always get to complete them on the show.
I was going to say
Usually
you complete miniatures.
I do. I have like the blue slot right over there. That one got done. The BattleTech miniatures got done.
Yeah, they did.
I did 2 sets of BattleTech miniatures,
Well,
and then
you're
like the one episode I did what 5 in one episode. So that was pretty wild.
like a boss.
Yeah. One of the things I think that Parabellum is doing really well is they're initiating their organized play stuff, and Will recently has done. Am I right, Will? You've done a Angry Chicken event already.
That is correct. I have, and it was a lot of fun. And in my opinion, it's how more companies should do like friendly store events. Like there's a definitely time and place for tournaments, and that like because people want to test their metal. You
Right.
all that time and effort and putting that list together. You want to know if it'll work, but also an event where if you come to the store and play a game, you'll get free chicken sandwiches.
Well, we're gonna give away chicken nuggets.
And chicken nugget. I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah. I'm gonna get that's on the 25th. We're doing that. We're gonna give away chicken nuggets. I think I don't want to do McDonald's chicken nuggets. Not to say anything bad about McDonald's, but we do have better chicken nuggets available here in the Lansing area. So we get a nice spread.
Black Friday.
It is Small Business Saturday. So we're going to crush it on Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. And hopefully we have some other folks coming out as well. That being formerly known as Deepwater Games. Now they are called Friendly Skeleton, the makers of Fantastic Factories and Monstrosity, and Plane, and a bunch of other fun low-entry board games. By low-entry, I just mean not a lot of rules, easy to get into party games and family games. And they're out of Saginaw. And hopefully they'll be down as well that day. So we'll have all sorts of cool stuff going on.
All their games are super fun, super good, super nice guys too.
Yeah.
Over there, guys and gals, I should say.
Yeah. They are all amazing. So we had a Gen Con, and I think the post-Gen Con episode of this, we talked about it. But I want to bring it up because it involves Conquest. While at Gen Con, Jeff and I were walking around, and we were at the Conquest booth, and there was a young man that came in. How old was that kid, Jeff? Like 12?
Like 12. Like 12.
I'll let you take on that story. Tell everybody what happened. It was pretty amazing.
All right, yeah. So we're in this booth, and this young man's in there, and he's got his bag full of Conquest miniatures, and they had a thing going on where for every $100 you spent, you got to spin their wheel of destiny to see what kind of prize you might win. And so he's sitting there, and he goes up and he spins the wheel, and there's a brand new unit that was about to get released, like these for the Wadroon, actually, like
Mhm.
what Rick's building over there. They're like a Triceratops riding unit, like these mini Triceratops. And it comes up on this thing, and he's like, "Oh, those aren't even released yet," and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe somebody put this on the wheel. Who made this mistake? We don't even have these miniatures out yet," and so he's kind of a little on the bum side, and then the head of the U.S. Trade there, Daryl, he goes, "Oh wait, what's this over here?" And he reaches behind the counter and he pulls out a unit of these brand new models that no one's ever seen before, and he hands them to this kid. And they're so new they're not even in the box, and he just gives to this kid, and his eyes about bulge out of his head. And he just starts stammering over and over. I can't believe this. Isn't real. This isn't real. This is the best day of my life.
It was so good.
It was great.
Yeah,
Yeah. They made a fan for life that day.
absolutely. And I think when it comes to the hobby of gaming, and just being a fan of certain IPs, those are the moments like we've had friends that have told us like this was the moment that I fell in love with this game, right? Like Alex Canals has said it in regards to the Warzone properties. I said it. I think everybody here in at one point or another has said, "Yep, this was the moment." That was that kid's like moment, and it was so cool to be able to see it. And what was his name? Logan?
No, it wasn't Logan.
No.
It was something along those lines. I can't remember, but no, not Jackson. It's something to that effect.
Yeah, it was when he told me what his name was, I was like, Jesus, could you get any cooler? Because it was like Magnus.
Right. It's something to that effect, yes. Yeah, and he's like, I'm not cool at all. I'm the nerdy kid at school with lizards. No one likes me.
Surprise, surprise, young man. Give it about 5 more years.
Right.
Yeah, it was great. And that's one of the things that I like about our hobby, our industry is everybody has those moments where they're just like, oh, and that's also his path to the brush, right? He's
100%.
if he's playing Conquest, he's painting. Right?
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised if like in a year or two, maybe 3, we're at Adepticon and that young man is entering for his first.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, at the GT a couple of years ago, I had a young man come up to me, in his early 20s, and he's all, "Hey, Jeff, how's it going?" And I'm like, looking at this guy, and I don't know him. He's got a beard, all this stuff. And he's like, "You don't know me, do you?" I said, "No." He goes, "Oh yeah, my name is," I can't remember off the top of my head, but he goes, "I used to come in the fortress all the time when I was, 10, and now I'm living in Nebraska in a doctorate program at, University of Nebraska and all this stuff." He goes, "You guys were a huge influence on me, and I'm still playing 40K to this day and all this stuff." And
that's awesome.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. It's pretty awesome when that you've had that kind of influence on someone, that they're continuing down the path in the hobby,
right?
And that they're going to share their love and passion with the next generation of players and painters, and I just think that's amazing.
Oh, I totally agree. And I also do think that there are a lot of champions of the hobby out there who are looking to create that moment for that young gamer out there.
Absolutely.
Right. Daryl at Parabellum knew what he was doing for that kid. Right. That was a 100% a conscious decision on his part to make that experience memorable for that guy.
Yeah.
And which is super cool that people are looking to be that what's the word I'm looking for? The tinder for that flame.
Yeah, the conduit.
Conduit. That's another great word.
Yeah. It's so great. Haas says, "I love seeing kids get excited over their hobbies at Gen Con. It makes me smile when I walk around." And JP's with us. If you want to see kids get excited about a hobby, run a paint and take. It's a lot of work, but worth it. Agreed. 100% agreed.
What's a paint and take?
Please. Yeah, it's another one of those things that we like to do here at the Path of the Brush and Thunderforge Studios. But our next one isn't until C2E2, which will be great.
Thank God.
Now says, I hung out in the paint and take area at Gen Con this year a bit. My son was a volunteer with their company. Nice. Getting people to put paint on plastic or pewter for the first time and seeing can't become can.
Right.
That's a great one right there too. Because a lot of folks, I had it today actually at the store. A gentleman came in and I was putting together some models, these models actually. And he said he wanted to get into playing Dungeons and Dragons. He used to play in high school and a little bit in college, and now that he's out, he wants to get back into his hobby. And he said that he'd never painted a miniature. And he goes, I just can't do it. And I'm like, how many have you painted? And he goes, I've never painted a miniature. And I go, of course you can't paint a miniature then, until you can.
Right.
Right? He goes, well, it's just not going to look great. I go, you're right.
and who cares?
And that's okay. Right.
Right.
So
it's like, not supposed to look good the first time.
No, or the hundredth, like the ones I'm doing right now.
I always like to tell people all it is it's not art. It's just paint by numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Just 3-dimensional paint by number. It's all it is.
100%. And these are wicked fun. I love dinosaurs. They're so great. And as I'm sitting here painting them, I'm like envisioning the different scenes from Jurassic Park. Like, there's this one here that has these fins on the side of its head. Right, it's on the stand here, and it reminds me of the one that had the canopy when it's like hisses and spits the paralytic poison. I'm like, yes.
Right.
On the character, the Newman character. Well, Newman
right.
From Seinfeld, but right.
Nice.
Yeah, I knew who you meant, Mark.
Yeah.
What's we got here? Nos says the Metalhead Minis group are nice people. They are. Yeah, they're talking about the different folks that run the paint and take. Yeah, coloring book, paint by color, but 3D, 100%. So good. All right, I need to.
And now we got speed paints and whatnot. There's even cheat codes for it. It makes it so much easier, especially for beginners.
Agreed. And they are cheat codes. It's literally magic in a bottle. Kind of like Nuln Oil and Agrax Earthshade, but whole color.
They still don't equal Agrax Earthshade or Nuln Oil. Sorry, just saying.
And those two are liquid talent.
They really are.
But we are really happy and glad that we're working with the Army Painter, with all the awesome that we get to play with here with them.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's like, what? No.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so this is one of the things, even the Army Painter guys and gals will tell you this as well, is every paint is a potential tool for your toolbox.
Right.
And not every paint is either, right? So you find the ones that you like, you find the ones that do the effect or give you the best results for what you're trying to accomplish, and then you get added to your toolbox.
Yeah.
I mean,
and their spies are busy right now trying to break into Games Workshop to steal the formula for Agrax Earthshade and Nuln Oil.
I mean, I can give them the answer to that. That's an easy answer.
Well, what are you waiting for?
It's brown.
It's brown.
If you go, those markers that are like that help you like fix a dent or a ding on a table or whatever.
Sure.
If you take the liquid that they use for that, that's your Nuln Oil. If you want Agrax Earthshade, you got to thin it to the 1/10th degree or something like that. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Only is now yours. So everybody watching can go out there and manufacture their own version of it.
Well, lots of people have tried.
Oh, they have.
There's a lot of YouTube videos on how to make your own Nuln Oil. Usually it involves some kind of future floor wax.
Yep. I had some gents come down here one day and paint some BattleTech miniatures, and one of them had their own like formula.
Sure.
They're using some sort of like mineral oil.
Yep. Yeah, what they're doing there, they're doing an oil wash with that, Rick.
Mhm.
So they're taking oil paints like what you would get at Michael's in the fine art
Yep.
department,
Yep.
and they're putting a little drop of that in a little container, and then throwing in some mineral spirits with it.
Yep.
And then they're creating a basically a pin wash is what that's called.
Yep.
Which
That's
is
exactly
like
what he
you
called
said, it's also that's a fabulous tool. But you
Mhm.
have to, in order to get the best effect out of that, you have to have a good coat on your miniature of a gloss.
Okay.
Because the really cool thing about doing that is that oil takes a super long time to dry, right?
Right.
And so what you're able to do is you thin that down, and it'll run right through the cracks and stuff like that.
hmm
And give a really cool panel lining effect, like what I did on my BattleTech miniatures.
Yep.
And then what that also allows you to do, though, you put a gloss coat down, then you put that oil pin wash on there,
Okay.
and then if you screw up, you can take a Q-tip and some of that mineral oil, and it acts like an eraser, and you can
Mhm.
just remove that oil paint right up with that mineral oil.
Does it like wick it up?
Yeah, basically, like I said, it's like an eraser, and you can do that until, well, really, you can probably even do it after it dries, because I think you can reactivate oil paint.
Okay. I
Um,
think you can.
yeah, so you want to make sure you get a good seal on after you have it how you want it, because you don't want to reactivate it in future
Mhm.
projects either. But yeah, so you can really work oil paint a lot after the fact, as you have it down and before you quote unquote set it.
Mhm.
So it gives you a lot of flexibility that acrylics don't give. However, they do take a really long time to dry, so they're not the most practical paints to use on miniatures. They're better for doing special effects and that kind of thing, rather than like everyday paints like what we're doing here.
Right. Very cool. And there you go, everybody.
And now you know.
Shoot, if it had numbers, I would probably sit and paint more. Spectral analysis. Very cool.
Well, so just instead of having numbers, pull up a miniature you think looks cool and just copy that.
Yeah. Agreed. See what I can do. Ooh, I'm gonna try this on this. I'm using ancient honey. Let's see how this looks on this other one here as its base skin tone.
I do think that the Army painter has knocked it out of the park with some of their names for their paints.
Like Hoplite Gold.
Hot by Gold's solid. I really like Murder Scene.
Oh, Murder Scene is good.
That's a great title.
The one that exploded on the first episode for us was Nuclear Sunrise.
Oh no, there you go. That's another
And
good one.
yeah, beautiful color, and literally exploded all over my mat the first episode of
That's
season 1.
that's amazing.
It was also, I think, the first color.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, dang it.
No, that set the tone.
It was great. It did set the tone for sure.
Didn't oh
Dun.
Ah.
Faux show. All right. So again, for everybody watching, we'd just like to say thank you. And if you haven't yet, please hit that heart and that bell so that you are following and also get notifications when Gen Con TV goes live. And if you have the ability to subscribe, please do that as well. And for those of you that may not know this, if you have Amazon Prime, you do get a free subscription to any one Twitch account. And if you haven't used your Amazon Prime subscription, please use it on the Gen Con TV one. You just hit subscribe. It'll give you the option, click through, and it'll do all the things. and boom, you're subscribed. And that would be great, because every little bit does help to ensure that more quality programming is brought to the platform, and y'all also can watch the other amazing programming that exists here, which I will now let you all know about if you don't already, because I do like to shout out my fellow content creators here on the channel. So on Mondays, and it looks like they added something on here. Nope, they didn't. It's so Mondays, Peter versus the Machine. So Peter Atkinson takes on different strategy games and then talks about, you know, his thoughts on that. Board games with the brothers Murph at 4. Dress to Quest after that. On Wednesdays is us and Actoroki. Thursdays is Blood on the Clock Tower. Roll with Rem Alternus. Fridays, Table Takes presented by Gen Con. Table Takes Game Night, and then Sarah's Table. And Sarah's Table is a fun look at indie RPGs. And a lot of them are like the small press ones where they're like almost like zines, and they're super fun. And Sarah's an amazing GM. So you have lots of options of amazing content focused around all things gaming and tabletop right here on Gen Con TV. And just like, you know, we want to be a part of your community, come join our community. And we thank you for letting us be a part of yours. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all 6 of these bad boys done in this episode, but I think I'm going to get at least 3. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, of the box. Yeah. Not horrible for an hour 45. Jordan? Mm-hmm. Right? Well, he is an amazing painter, and yeah, he's fast. Mm-hmm. Right. I found another one of those beautiful named paint colors, Slaughter Red. Yes. Oh, I don't want to use that. I want to use Military Shader. Yeah, I want to see what it looks like on one of my uh, green ones here. Yeah, that's a good one. But I mean, I'm a big fan of the Hoplite Gold. It's a great name. I mean, there's a store named after it. You know. Well, maybe for like an escape room. You know, murder scene escape rooms where someone in the room is also a murderer. Dun dun dun. And it's always will. Oh yeah, Air D&D would be so great.
I don't think I've heard of this one. I'm like head down painting today, letting you guys talk a little more. What's the Air D&D?
What's Air D&D? It's an Airbnb, but you go to this Airbnb and there's multiple guests, not just you and whoever you're going with, but it's multiple guests in multiple rooms, and then you basically spend the whole weekend playing D&D.
They have like a castle in Pennsylvania or something like that that does.
Yeah, they do.
They do. There's also one in Ohio called Ravenwood.
Maybe that's
Castle.
what I'm thinking of. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that's a very cool idea.
Yeah, and then I have friends in Maryland that actually do it. They have an Airbnb business, and they do it, I think, 10 times a year, like once a month, except for I don't think they do it in December, and I don't think they do it in maybe November because of the holiday stuff. But yeah, they have an Airbnb, and I think it's basically like the whole D&D in a castle thing too, like you mentioned. You're basically paying to go stay at a place and just play D&D with strangers. And I think Lansing could afford to have something like that here.
Think they could accommodate?
Yeah. But actually, I don't think so. Well, the reason is there's not enough alternative things to do, right? And it's kind of hard to get to Lansing. Like you couldn't really fly in because you have to go
To no
Detroit,
airport?
Chicago,
There's a Lansing Airport.
Yeah.
right? But to fly into Lansing it bumps the price of your plane ticket, right? Like I fly in to Detroit and I can get an Uber from Detroit to Lansing cheaper than what the add-on of just flying into Lansing.
If you heard it here first, fly Lansing.
No,
And this episode brought to you by
Lansing Airport.
Fly Lansing.
And that's not a bus on the airport. It's just a fact. It just costs more to get here. That's why it costs so much more to bring guests in for like conventions. Here or in lieu of going to Motor City Comic Con or something like that. It's just like, oh.
All right, I'm gonna show off a little thing here.
Yeah, let's see what you guys got going on.
So just base coating with a little bit of blue. These guys are kind of like they're kind of mutants anyways, right? Kind of these hybrid, half human, half monstery troll things that they did some genetic engineering on.
You did that? You genetically engineered those?
I grew them. I grew them out of a test tube. Isn't it true that the spires had something to do with that? The spires conspired.
If you want to get fun into the lore, yes. It was the spire known as Yggdrasil was the one spire where all the elf factions actually worked together in harmony.
Yggdrasil,
Yggdrasil, the world tree, yes.
Okay.
And as because the spires, they're basically elves. Like there's the spires are the ones that are released. They're the high elves. The Weaver courts will be like the wood elves, but they're the nature attuned, but their nature is their home world, not the one that they're on. So they're trying to terraform Ea.
Oh.
And then there's the unseen, which are going to be the dark elves.
Okay.
And they all work together in Yggdrasil, and they took the flora and fauna of the planet to try and conquer it, and the flora and fauna being the humans, and mucked around with it a little bit, and they made trolls.
Nice.
And werewolves and giant bear men.
Oh, nice. I like werewolves and trolls and giant bear men. John says, I normally just work everywhere unless I am needed. Yes, you are needed. All right. So we got this one. I need to put some more green on him.
Now I'm going to make his pants blue.
Yes. I was wondering if you were going to do that today.
Oh, my friend's wife lost her cookies at that point of that evening. She thought that was the funniest thing she ever saw.
Isn't that the scene where she literally could see her husband on TV? Was he a painter as well?
No. I'm talking the 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah, I know. But did her husband paint miniatures?
Yes, yeah, we're working with
Yeah.
her.
So she could literally envision that being something her husband would say.
Right,
in
that's
that
why it
moment.
was hilarious, because
Yeah,
they
that's
were
great.
making fun of her husband's hobby right there.
I love it.
It confirmed to her that he was truly a nerd.
Yes. I've had people like when I tell them that I paint miniatures, actually ask me that. I mean, they'll be like on 40-year-old virgin, and I'll be like,
Yes.
yeah, but more like 50-year-old virgin. All right. Let's take a look here. All right. Very cool. This guy needs something. He's missing a lot.
So I'm wondering, Rick, would those velociraptors be something that Thundar the Barbarian might have to deal with?
You know what? That is an excellent question. And I would have to say that they would have to, yes, yeah, there would be some sort of mutated giant lizard creatures that have come over that, what, was it 1994, runaway planet from outer space collides between the Earth and the Moon, unleashing cosmic destruction. Man civilization is cast in ruins. 2,000 years later, the Earth is reborn. I think in 2,000 years, some of the lizards of the Earth would probably mutate because there'd be nuclear events, right, that could cause radiation, and so alligators could get bigger. You look at Ukla the mock. He's a cat.
Yeah.
Who's now not a cat, or a cat bear. So yeah, I can see some dinosaur-like lizards running around, being a bit of a pest.
You take a chicken and you turn it into a horse. You got a velociraptor.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's already birds that are super deadly. That axe beaky looking one that still exists.
Yeah.
And then there's that one that's on TikTok where the lady it rushes at the lady and she stops it. It's like is it emu?
Yes.
Yeah. Those look like they could literally rip you apart.
There's an emu farm, actually. I think it's in either Charlotte or Eaton Rapids, something around here. So,
Is there?
so my buddy, did I tell you guys about this?
I don't think so.
My buddy, he wanted to make an emu omelet. And so he was like, so he went there and he's like, how much for an egg? It sounds like a joke, but in reality it's happened. His name is Drew. And Drew went over there to this farm. He's like, how much for an egg? And she's like, oh, we don't really sell eggs, but I guess I could. He's like, I'm gonna make an omelet. So, anyways, I don't know how much she sold it to him, like maybe $30, $20, I don't know, something. But it's enough to make like 12 eggs worth of an omelet. And he like made
one egg.
One egg, yeah. So he made this giant. He said it was a little gamier, and like it was a little like tougher when you cooked it, but he ate this damn omelet.
Jeff, would you eat a emu omelet?
I would try the emu omelet, sure.
Yeah, I think I would too. I like omelets. I now want an omelet. And I think after the show, we should all go get omelets.
How would you do the omelet? What do you like in your omelet? Are you more like a ham and cheese kind of guy?
Yeah, I'm usually like a Western omelet, right? So if I had an emu omelet, though, emus are natural creatures they're not from North America. Are they Africa?
Yeah, they're from
And Australia. They actually won a war in Australia.
That's right. They did win a war against the Australian army. Interesting. I don't know what I want in conjunction with that.
I don't think it says much for the Australian Army.
Those are some.
They couldn't put enough bullets into the birds to kill them. They are very, very tough.
Okay.
But it also doesn't say much for the Australian military. I mean, it's entirely populated with criminals. So.
I mean, I've trained with the Australian Armed Forces. They're not slackers. But this was probably a long time ago. Yeah. But I don't know. What would I put in an emu egg omelet? Vegemite?
Yeah, Vegemite has to be in there.
Right.
No doubt. Maybe some koala.
Ooh, I
I
don't think we can eat koala.
I don't think
I don't
I don't
I
think
don't
we
think
can.
the Australians would hate if you eat koala.
Right, but I don't think the world appreciates that. Aren't they like on the endangered species list?
A Vegemite koala sandwich. This is a yeah. People are now angry.
Plus, I think when they had those wildfires during the pandemic that wreaked havoc on the population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the like mice infestation that Australia had? I don't know if it's like in a certain part of the outback, but it was like just running rampant through people like farms and like eating like just all of the grain.
Fires.
I don't know if that's what spawned it, but I mean it was just you would see like a wheat field or cornfield after, and all you would see was like it moving with all these rodents. It was pretty.
Oh, that's amazing. Hey, JP, be well. Hope to see you at a con soon.
Good, man.
Later, dude. Yeah. Yeah, Vegemite, and I've had. Who here's had Vegemite?
Salty, right? It's like salty.
It's not great.
It's like thick, salty molasses, as I've heard.
Yeah, sort of. It's not great. Even a lot of the Australians will be like, yeah, not great. Just like most Swedes will tell you the same thing about stoelslamming, which is that like fermented pickled herring. It's so gross.
You like lingonberry?
I like lingonberry.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, I like lingonberry. Get that with your IKEA meatballs and red taters. It's the best.
IKEA meatballs.
Hey, the best.
Your mouth, Mark.
I drove 1 hour not to look, nay, to look at the furniture, but for the meatballs.
Heck yeah.
You buy the big frozen bag on the way out the door.
I went to the IKEA in Chicago like 7 years ago. I don't think I've actually left. I think I'm still stuck in there right now.
I did the same thing with my wife for her 30th birthday. She wanted to go to IKEA before we had one here in Michigan. So we drove to Chicago to go to IKEA.
Nice.
That's wild.
Yeah, I enjoy going to IKEA.
She likes efficient Swedish furniture. What can you say?
It's cool looking stuff. It is.
The place got a bad reputation in China because it was where singles would go to meet.
Really?
Yeah, so if you were going to IKEA, you weren't going there to find furniture.
It's kind of like Netflixing and chilling.
Yes.
I love that.
Yep. Want to meet your potential future partner? IKEA. They should have used that as a marketing thing around colleges. Right?
You should have just jumped all over that.
Right. Why did they not?
Missed opportunity.
I will say this, though. You can get a pretty decent desk there that can be turned into an amazing paint station.
That's true. They have all kinds of great painting stuff.
Is that what you're painting on right now?
This?
Yeah.
No.
So this whole thing?
Well, this is a podium, and a podium desk for like teaching medical stuff. Right, you'd have your PowerPoint on and stuff on the podium for the class, and then you'd have like bandage, wound care stuff going on the table, or how to do sutures with like an overhead camera for some other stuff. But yeah, it's a student teacher desk type thing.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
You know, if you're into airbrushing,
Yeah. Nice. Can anybody hear Jeff? Because I didn't hear him in the headphones.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I muted you a long time ago. Actually.
Oh, what'd you do that for?
He's the meanest.
You had the worst echo ever.
Oh.
I'm muted right now.
All right. So you were saying one of the great things to get at IKEA is what?
You got to get a cheap Lazy Susan.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like $6, and you set it on top of your painting desk when you're airbrushing, and you can just sit your model on there. And when you're, especially if you're like priming or clear coating, you do the bottom first, and then you set it down on top of the Lazy Susan, and you just keep spinning it around as you hit the
Nice.
model from all angles.
Okay.
It's a super useful tool.
I actually have one in the back. That's not because I used it for painting, but now I need to apparently when I get an airbrush.
Right. But it's because you're lazy.
Yeah. Well, am I lazy in regards to getting the airbrush, or I don't know.
Yes.
You're just lazy about Susan.
Right.
He wishes he had a Susan.
I do.
Is this Path of the Brush After Dark yet, or no?
Ah.
Too soon. Okay, all right.
No, we'll never go down that path because we can't. All right.
So how would you, if you were comparing Conquest, and get back on the Conquest train a little bit,
Okay.
if you're comparing it to a movie, is there anything that would like get somebody engaged, or maybe talk about the universe a little bit more?
Yeah, Will's going to be the expert on this. I definitely come to it more from a gameplay angle rather than a lore angle. I enjoy the mechanics of the game a lot.
It's still developing, right?
I have a thought on that. I feel like Conquest, if you had to watch a movie, TV show, or some sort of programming that would translate to this, would be Ancient Aliens, or any of those like History Channel things, right? Because we have the Spartans and the Greeks. Orcs, in some capacity, could be Neanderthals, right? Riding dinosaurs. What is it? The Dominion?
Yep.
The old Dominion, yeah.
The old Dominion. And they're another human faction.
They're undead zombies.
I like the
Okay.
dead section.
Yeah, but yeah, they're all undead human. Well, no, there's minotaurs and there's strange.
Yeah.
Are they
automatons.
undead minotaurs?
They are.
Yep,
undead
they are.
minotaurs.
Good God. And then there's the dwarves.
Did we go?
Yep.
Man, it just sounds like an episode of Thor Ragnarok.
That's a bit lighthearted for the universe. As I can only think of like the giant rank and file battles from like Lord of the Rings, and even that's not quite good.
But
Honestly,
I watched all of those today.
awesome.
All of them?
Yeah, all three.
The extended version.
No, extended on the first one and the third one. And then I watched the Twin Towers extended.
That's the best one.
The one movie that does spring to mind that might kind of capture the feel of the universe in my head is 300, because the way that they depicted the Persians was
Right, because they're very monstrous, right?
yeah, completely otherworldly, and like that's how the Persians were, but that's how this universe would depict an army like the Persians.
Okay. Yeah, that was a great question. Good job, Mark.
Hey, keeping this show alive.
Since
2022.
2022. All right. So I just need to. I don't have any black on my table, so I have to. But I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna put just black on the eyes for this one, and then I think this one will be done, and the claws, and then this one will be done, and then I can add them to the plate.
They should really make like a Spinal Tap black, because it doesn't get any blacker, you know.
And Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
I think what is it? Ultimate Black version 3 or whatever, where it literally absorbs all the light when it hits it. So let's put some of that on there. That'd be wild. And a little red for the tongue here. A little murder red.
Gene Simmons tongue red. Like a whole rock and roll line. Don't steal this, Turbo Dork or Army Painter.
Gene, so yeah, he would come after him quick.
Oh, he would. He doesn't mess around.
Yeah. He is a marketing and business-minded person. All right. I don't know how I feel about this yellow and blue, though.
Well, I personally think it's a horrible color combination, and I think you should be expelled from the show for choosing such a horrible pair of colors to go together.
Cerebellum of colors. Hey, let's get a close up of this. These colors.
What are you talking about? I call this one the big house.
Yeah, and that's why it looks like a POS.
Yeah, big house, and then we got the green and yellow here with this cat. He looks pretty good. And this purple one is going to get some grays added to him on like his spine and more on like the higher point of his skin, where I feel like the scales or whatever are graying, and his lower scales have a brighter. All right. So hold some vibrancy to it. And then this one, I didn't like that military wash.
What didn't you like about it?
It just didn't give me what I wanted. I wanted it to be a little darker on the feathers instead of that light, because it was just a wash. I didn't.
Oh, it wasn't a speed paint.
No, I mean it is, but it's a speed paint wash, which is kind of weird because speed paints kind of give a wash like effect, anyways.
Right.
So wash. But so I'm going to put something else over that.
Have you messed with the mediums much, Rick? The speed wash medium mixing in?
I have not.
Some of the colors that you may not love straight out of the bottle, you might have a very different opinion after mixing the medium with them.
Okay.
It'll make them flow quite a bit differently. I've noticed that with similar paints where I may not like it straight out of the bottle very much at all. And then you throw in some medium in there, like maybe a 30% medium ratio, and it just completely changes how the paint works. Nice. And sometimes you can be a lot happier with the final result.
Okay. I think maybe take a look at that for the next episode. I'll prep some stuff.
And you're going to see a lot more, to really get the best bang for your buck out of that, you got to pick something that's pretty textured.
Okay. That's good to know.
Because it's going to thin it down quite a bit, right? So it'll really flow into those cracks much better than it was straight out of the bottle.
Nice. I'm putting some little, oops.
Look at all this painting gold I'm bringing the show.
You're bringing all these, bits of wisdom and knowledge.
That's right. All you listeners, take heed. Level up your game.
You're only getting this once.
Yeah, I won't be back. Rick won't let me back after this.
Not this season. Maybe next season.
God, it would be great if we could figure out a way to get the airbrush on here without drowning out the sound.
We can just stick you in a different room, and then pop on when we're talking.
Right.
Yeah, the possibility is there, and we may have to do it on a different channel,
right?
Test, and then if it works out, then we can bring it to this channel.
That could be fun. Like if he's in a different room behind some glass, be like a nature documentary. Here we have Jeff with his airbrush.
Look how we had to describe it. Look how he holds the brush ever so gently before he makes his application. If he uses too much aggressive pull on the trigger, it could mess the entire process up, and you have to start from the beginning.
I got that fancy Harder and Steenbeck Ukraine brush that I've been using lately that I absolutely love.
Nice.
That is a beautiful brush. You turned me on to that, and I have that as well. but I've underutilized it. So it's
Oh,
time to get back to hobby. This is hobby time for me. Is Wednesdays normally.
have you used it at all, Mark?
I have.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because that's a nice brush. It's far and away the best brush I've ever used.
Yeah, it's a dream to use compared to. I bought a $20 one just to learn on, and it was
mistake.
Yeah, I mean you're cleaning it more than you're
wasted $20.
painting with it. Yeah.
I also feel that pain because I think over on the table behind the whiteboard here in the studio, I have 7 different airbrush guns, and they're probably all like $20 ones off Amazon.
Yeah.
To be fair, like you got a $20 one to learn on, and you did learn not to use a $20 airbrush.
Yeah. Oh, and there's also some from some other companies over there too that just didn't work. But that's the life, the way of it. All right, let's shout out our sponsors. So, first shout out, we talked about TAP, which is the Army Painter. So thank you to Army Painter for supporting us here at Path of the Brush. Also to our friends over at the Game Envy, the makers of the hobby handle right here, and the brushes that we use, the Phalanx synth, and which is kind of fun because a unit in the hoplite formation is a Phalanx. And Matt's by Mars, who made the placement right here. And Gen Con TV, Thunderforge Studios. We never really talk about Thunderforge Studios. But Thunderforge Studios, yeah. Because that's us.
Because that's us.
Probably should talk about that more often.
Probably should talk about that.
I'm the worst.
I'm the worst.
I don't know who I'm hearing, but I'm hearing myself like 13 times.
Like 13 times.
All right.
We'll mute everybody.
We'll mute everybody real quick. So if you can pop it on, go ahead and unmute
All right.
yourself.
Oh, it's over.
It's over.
That's it.
That's it.
As far as the shout outs, we still got about 15 minutes. So, and I needed to put some black, non-speed black acrylic from our Army Painter on the table so I could get the claws and the eyes on a lot of these. Because, like I said about my paint takes, I paint for 3 feet away, and
It looks like.
yeah, and it looks like that, and that's fine. So, and this guy's kind of cool. Another blue and gold, but just different. I like them.
All right, Mark, hit my mic, please.
Go for Jeff.
All right, thanks. So I'm going to get on a little soapbox here for everyone out there listening. So as you guys all know, we got the holiday season coming up, and not only myself but a lot of my friends own small businesses. And if you guys can just not shop at Amazon or big box stores as much this year, and spend your money inside of small businesses, it helps them way more than it would help these big mega corporations. So just think about that when you're spending money this Christmas, and where you do spend your money makes a big difference.
That's true. And I think one of the best places for that is Saturday the 25th is Small Business Saturday. Worth it. You want to check out what your small business in your local community have going on. So, all good stuff. I'm using a demonic yellow right now. I think I'm going to put a moon dust on this yellow one to kind of like soften up some of the gold from the wash or from the speed paint on the higher points. Because some of it is oddly super dark. Oddly. So Jeff, when you and your fellow Michigan DTE organizers decided you were going to put together this event, what was the big factor in why you guys did it?
It's pretty stupid, really. We were just all coming back from a one-day event, and we were talking about how our local scene didn't have a larger event like what you would see at an Adepticon or some of those other bigger tournaments out there. So we decided that we were going to put together a multi-day event and help the community out in that way.
Nice. I feel like that is something that a lot of people can relate to. In that, when you go to an event, Adepticon, Gen Con, all these different events and conventions, if you're driving back and you're with a bunch of your friends, the creative juices flow pretty heavily.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
And so I can absolutely see you and the folks that are a part of the GT having those moments. And I'm guessing that you've had moments like this as well in regard to other things,
Yes.
post-con events. Anything else?
Oh, yeah, like a friend of mine saying, hey, it would be cool to open a game store. We should do that.
Yeah, that guy was a fool. Speaking of which, if you haven't yet, also follow Hoplite Games on Facebook.
That is our game store, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, nothing like adding on a third job.
right. I mean, why not?
Right? Why not?
We have nothing but time.
Right. Time's my most valuable commodity these days.
Nice. How about you, Mark and Will? Have you two on the way back from a convention had like moments of like creative epiphany?
Yeah, I started the tabletopgurus.com after that. Said, let's get the LLC. It's slow moving right now, but we're getting the content up, and yeah,
Nice.
keep checking that out. But yeah, that's yeah, it makes you want to just go deeper into the hobby, right?
Yeah. Well,
I mostly wanted to. I just got really ambitious about my painting projects.
okay.
Haven't made any long-lasting business decisions after kind of
That's
That was
smart.
a good choice. It was a good choice.
Keep that up, Will.
So that's proving Will is the smartest of us all. Hashtag Donatello.
Nice call.
Thank you. All right. So again, for everybody that's watching, if you aren't or haven't yet, hit that heart, hit that bell, follow Gen Con TV, make sure you get all the awesome announcements. If you can do, go check out Parabellum Games and Conquest. Give it a right there at para-bellum.com.
Yeah, if you like fantasy war games, you'll like Conquest.
It's pretty cool. And yeah, follow on all the socials. If you do happen to see them, tell them that we here at Pass the Brush sent you. Make a comment and be like, Pass the Brush sent us. And they'll be like, who? But hopefully they won't say that. They'll be like, oh, yeah, those guys. I am slightly familiar.
But if you are a war gamer, all their rules are free and they're updated constantly.
Nice.
So that's kind of a nice.
For worse.
Yeah.
We'll bring it in the clutch. More intel. And if your local game store isn't carrying it, also let them know that, hey, you should check out this game we saw on Pass of the Brush. It looks pretty cool. I would like to check it out and get it through you.
And they're going to say where?
At the front of the local game store. And you're right. They're going to say where? If they don't already know it, that's kind of upsetting. You know what I also am curious is, I don't recall if Gen Con did it this past year, but pre-COVID, they did this thing called Pop-Up Gen Con, right? And I thought it was just brilliant, where if you couldn't attend Gen Con, you could at least go to your friendly local game store, and they would have a lot of the new games that were going to be like demoed or presented at Gen Con available to demo, not necessarily to sell, but available to play with at the local game store scene. And you kind of did a big event around the whole pop-up Gen Con theme. Like I would show, like, if Hoplite were a pop-up satellite, our TV would show YouTube and all the live streaming going on at Gen Con. While we have specific demos, depending on what game they wanted people to highlight. It'd be fun. Just saying. All right. Well, where can people find more information about the Michigan GT, Jeff?
Well, MichiganGT.com, or follow us on Facebook at Michigan GT.
You guys got off Facebook. Wasn't yielding the people you needed.
Right. Facebook was just not it.
No, Facebook took it over.
No, yeah, right. That was the pre-Facebook website. It was between MySpace and Facebook.
Right. I do remember those days. They were a dark time.
I thought you said Facebook. And it was like Facebook for chickens.
Or when a pitcher steps off the mound prematurely.
Wow, look at Rick with the sports reference.
Oh, small.
I know some stuff besides worthless
Marvel references.
Well, I do know a lot of good Marvel references. Don't get me started. I think one of my favorite trivia questions is, what is the shout out that Namor uses? Like, when he goes into battle, right?
Who's Namor? Who?
Namor is the King of Atlantis in the Marvel Universe.
Would that be Imperious Rex?
It is Imperious Rex. It's so good.
Nerds. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of like how the Thing says clobbering. It's clobbering time. Which I know you have to know that one, Jeff.
Who's the Thing?
You're fired. From the Fantastic Four.
Who are they?
Oh, okay. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually going to go ahead and call it a night. Stay tuned in about 15, 20 minutes. The Akaroki episode will kick off. And it'll be very cool. Again, shout out to all of our sponsors, which we've mentioned already. Shout out to, look at that, look at Mark's miniature and everybody's miniatures under the light here. Bring your miniatures up to your cameras, folks. There we go. All good thing. Super fun. Go. We'll be back next week with another awesome episode. And then it'll be Thanksgiving too.
We did 5 of them. Hooray!
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Jeff. We appreciate you. And again, if you guys are in the Michigan area, those of you watching, you can always stop by the Michigan GT in October. Because the next one is going to be the number 11.
Number 11.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, until next time, go to your friendly local game store. You can lick the paint, just don't eat it. And I'm Rick, and we'll see you next week.